Now I should warn you, things are about to get pretty frigid. Hey guys, MasakoX here, and today marks the beginning of a marathon of what ifs on this channel. So this is not just a what if week, it's a what if whatever. That's right, we're going to be plugging what ifs pretty much until the end of the year, so we got plenty of stuff to go through, including a 3-part Christmas special, which I admit is a little bit loose, but I think you might get a kick out of it. But I think for today, to start things off, we're going to touch upon a story which we recently actually looked at, but we kind of left it on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I'm not going to keep you guys waiting 3 months like I usually do. Yes, we're going to be looking at the Resurrection F follow-up in this part of the series, What If Nappa Turned Good? Nappa's journey began 9 parts ago, when he was trounced by Goku and then abandoned by his once former comrade Vegeta. Little did he know that thanks to Vegeta's callous nature, I mean it obviously would have stung, but Goku actually was the one to spare him and give him a new lease of life as well as a new band of friends. Ever since, Nappa didn't just become a bodyguard for the Son family in Goku's stead, he also became the best uncle that anyone could ever hope to have. But alas, all of the gardening and all the uncling and the bodyguarding has meant that Nappa's not really found romance in his life. He is now 70 years old and nearly approaching the elderly stage of a Saiyan, which we've never really explored before. But you know what, I think he's actually okay with the whole thing. He has his family, he has his garden, and he also has the acknowledgement and the assurance that despite the fact that he is now getting quite old, he has been able to keep up somewhat with everybody else for the majority of his life. Now in the last part of the story, we begun to actually tell the Resurrection F part of Super in the Nappa What If universe. This time Sorbet and Tagoma aren't just bringing back Lord Frieza here. They actually, inadvertently, ended up with a second wish, and do you know why that happened? Well, Vegeta and the Pilaf gang were too busy squabbling about who should get the wishes, and then Sorbet and Tagoma just went right under their noses. Vegeta tried to chase, but didn't quite do it, and now they got an extra wish to bring back King Cold as well. Now why was Vegeta gathering the Dragon Balls? Well, it was purely selfish reasons. It was all down to the fact that he wished to have a major power boost to make sure that he was at equal level with everybody else. He couldn't be bothered to do all the training, he wanted to actually assert his dominance and he knew how to do it quickly. With King Cold's inclusion into the mix, it means that the Frieza Force is now back to full capacity in terms of leadership and strength. And I feel that with King Cold at the helm as well, things are going to get done much faster. So as we said, the 2 top galactic tyrants are now back in business, but understandably, they've been a little bit out of the loop for you know what, being in the next dimension and all that. After the initial confusion, they get up to date with the whole situation concerning Majin Buu, what Beerus is up to right now, and basically the state of play of the Saiyans. But if they want to keep up with the Saiyans, they're going to have to resort to the thing that the Saiyans do all the time, and that is fighting, training, a lot. Ooh, how uncouth, I have to train like a dirty monkey? Oh well, it's a necessary evil. They really don't want to have to train to be able to get stronger, but they've got to, so they've just got to roll with it. Now in regards to King Cold's power, there is no discernible and definitive information as to what his power level is exactly. So if we want to kind of just go off the back of maybe some reports saying that he's slightly stronger than Frieza in some way, I think it would be fair to say that he would have also gained the golden transformation as well as his son Frieza. And especially since we actually now found out in Super Dragon Ball Heroes that Cooler can have the golden transformation, so I don't see why their father couldn't. And I know that we haven't actually seen his 3rd, 4th or even 5th form, but I think it's safe to say that King Cold did have it because he just didn't need to use it. The 2nd form was more than enough. And also, you know, Frieza said that nobody's ever seen it before, so King Cold has it too. And don't think Golden Frieza's been left out in the cold. There is a twist with him as well. Now you see, having someone on his own level to train with, that being his father, has paid dividends in terms of the training. And Frieza managed to get a lot done in 4 months with Tagoma. Can you imagine what he could do with his father, who's stronger than him? This has meant that Frieza's been able to not just get the golden form quicker, but also get the true golden form earlier than he did in the original story. That's gonna make the story even more dangerous and the stakes much higher than ever. And we all know about Dragon Ball Super and the low stakes. He becomes the stronger of the duo and King Cold's pretty much okay with it. He's known all along, ever since Frieza was born or created or whatever, that Frieza would become the strongest person in the entire empire. And that's why he actually gained the empire in the first place. And I also think that they're pretty much satisfied with being alive and being able to try and take back what was rightfully theirs. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Vegeta is painfully aware as to the error that he has committed, and he then goes off to Nappa, who he's meant to report to admit his deed. Despite his semi-betrayal or act of selfishness, they at least know that Frieza is about to descend upon them. At the moment, it's not too much of a concern, because at this point in the story, they think that Frieza is just as strong as he was on Namek. Not exactly a threat these days, but just to be sure, because he might be able to pull a fast one, they better get started on some training. The Elder Saiyan knows exactly that Frieza would be able to plot something, and he'd be scheming some kind of tricky business, all the stuff that he heard and kept away from Vegeta for all this time because he was a young boy. In this training, they would bring in Gohan as well. And in turn, I think it would mean that Gohan would eventually get some training with Whis. And also, he's not going to get out of this. This is Uncle Nappa. You don't want to disappoint Uncle Nappa. Now, Nappa may have been able to somewhat forgive Vegeta for his actions, but Goten is absolutely furious that Vegeta betrayed their trust as well as Bra's trust. He's standing up for Bra and he wants to keep Vegeta in check somehow. But if he's going to be in the Room of Spirit in time for a year, that's away from him. So he hatches a plan with Kami, who gives his blessing to go into the chamber ahead of time so he can keep an eye on Vegeta. Although Kami knows that Gohan could easily take care of Vegeta, he does admit that Goten has potential as well, so it can't hurt for the brothers to be able to get some training in as well. And I think at this point, all of this extra training would mean that Goten would be able to unlock the power of Super Saiyan 2. His training would have been pretty regular, and I don't think that'll be the end of the story for Goten. Kami sees a lot of things in his future. When Gohan and Vegeta enter the chamber and the door is sealed, they then spot Goten there. The door is locked. There is no getting out now. They are stuck together for an entire year/day. They better make the most of it. The next year, or the next day, Chi-Chi finds out about this whole action and is very, very unhappy about the fact that she's just lost a year of their children's lives. But Gohan's able to calm her down, saying that this was for the greater good. They needed to get stronger because Frieza was about to arrive and potentially wreck everything. After that day in the chamber, Nappa, Vegeta, Goku and Gohan then head off to Beerus's place to go and do some training with Whis, just so they're able to compare their powers and see where they're all at. Despite the extra time, Vegeta is still unable to unlock God Ki, which is just frustrating him consistently. Unbeknownst to the Saiyans, Goten's managed to sneak along as well so he can get some training in. How was he able to get past Whis' senses? Well, through the art of extra snacks, thankfully curated by Bra. She knows about where to get the best sweet treats in the entirety of West City, so they've been able to hook Whis up with them. 4 months have now passed and the invasion of the 1,000 soldiers begins, and to be honest, the entire Z-Fighter thing, it's really not much of a problem. It was kind of dealable in the original story. Here though, it's basically a foregone conclusion. Vegeta then just wrecks Tagoma without Captain Ginyu there, and because Tagoma didn't really get any training. All the other goons are wasted, and to be honest, it feels like really this whole thing was just a storm in a teacup. What was the threat here? However, as they're celebrating their victory, they're immediately able to sense King Cold and Frieza's powers, and they then make themselves known dramatically atop of their ship. Frieza was bad enough, but they weren't expecting his father as well. Both of them commend the Saiyans for their bravery and their power, being able to dispatch all of their soldiers in almost a few minutes, but playtime was now over. They were going to show them the error of their ways. They should have never crossed Frieza. For the moment though, they are suppressing their powers because you know what might happen next could be quite entertaining. And it kind of is, because Vegeta, keen to get his revenge on the Saiyan race as well as prove how powerful he is, powers up and heads straight for Frieza, only to be met with a fist and then slammed to the ground. Not even his Super Vegeta form can get anything on Frieza. He's just thrown away like he was just a piece of chewing gum wrapper. Goku can feel that something is different and immediately clocks onto the fact that they are suppressing their powers. Goku jumps in with Frieza and the climactic duel begins. This is the first time in the story that we see the powers of Super Saiyan Blue. However, their presence in the story is really not that impressive. Honestly, it wasn't really that impressive when we saw it in the original. So much of a fanfare. Gohan then rushes up to Goku's defense, completely and utterly shocked that Frieza is able to handle this brand new power of Goku so easily. This took them so much training and hard work just to be able to master and hold their own with, but Frieza is just here, just knocking it aside like it was nothing, like it was just some kind of hair dye that Goku put on, like it didn't make a difference. And I think right now, just for reference, Ultimate Gohan's power is akin to the power of Trunks' Super Saiyan Rage form. And remember, Gohan's power in the Ultimate form keeps on rising, but is it quick enough? Frieza is impressed, not just how strong Gohan has become, but also the fact that he's not had to resort to the Super Saiyan transformation and cheating like all those other filthy monkeys. And when he thinks about it, the two of them are pretty similar, being child prodigies. He informs Gohan that if he's lucky, he might offer him a place in the Frieza forces alongside him and his dad. He just has to be a good little monkey and step aside and let him just wipe everyone else out. Dear. Let's just get rid of that little bulky oaf as well. Now, speaking of the bulky oaf, Nappa also wants to help something who will be 3-on-1, but he is then intercepted by King Cold. King Cold powers up to his golden form, whilst Nappa powers up into his berserker form. Now he's able to get better control of it. The fight is pretty even, albeit initially, because the signs of Nappa's age really begin to get a hold of him. He starts to falter somewhat. And I think King Cold wouldn't be as brash as his son, he'd be fighting much more carefully. King Cold knows that Goku and Gohan, if they draw this fight out long enough, might be able to get the advantage over his son, because, you know, that little tempestuous little son of his is just so gosh darn impatient. That's why he's giving his son some distance and drawing Nappa away, and also conserving his strength. And I also think that the king would be much more methodical and be planning ahead. If the Z Fighters were able to plan ahead, he could then send out some spies to Earth to make sure that they don't get up to too much things that might make them stronger. When Nappa starts to get a little tired, and now visibly so, King Cold hatches a plan and makes a decision. Suddenly, he heads off towards the direction of Capture Corp, surprising everyone in the process. When he gets there, he decides to take some hostages to try and ensure his son's victory. Vegeta tries to stop him, but it's not enough. He is going directly for Bulma, Yamcha, and Bra. Exhausted, Nappa tries to use up all of his strength to try and catch up, but he worries that he might be too late. King Cold thinks he's got this pretty much wrapped up, but he then gets surprised by a sideswipe that he wasn't expecting. This sends him careening straight to the ground. Who did it? It's Goten! But not Goten. I think all of this anguish, as well as the fact that Bra and Bulma and Yamcha are in danger, has triggered the Super Saiyan Rage power. King Cold is so surprised that a child monkey could become this strong. But then again, he's not exactly surprised either, because all these child prodigies around? Oh well, I guess it was time and inevitable. The fight between them is on a pretty similar level to the Super Perfect Cell vs Super Saiyan 2 Gohan fight. And with the arrival of Nappa on the scene, that completely changes the whole thing on the battle, like how Vegeta intercepted the former battle. Goten and Nappa are able to synchronize completely and use their joint attacks to be able to get the upper hand on King Cold, blasting him into pieces. But in the end, King Cold regrets nothing. He was able to unleash his entire potential, and to be honest, this way of going was far more graceful than to that Trunks brat. However, those two have no time for celebrating, because Frieza is about to blow up the planet! Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Nappa, and Goten combine all of their strengths to try and push the Death Ball away from Earth and out into space. Frieza is shocked. He thought that that Death Ball would be able to destroy everything, but now he's out of energy and trying to hold it back. But it's too late. The 5-way beam of the Saiyans is enough to make Frieza go vaporize, and then is no more in this mortal coil. And Goku fully recognizes the power of his two sons. He also decides that he owes Vegeta some training for being able to sticking up and actually warning them about Frieza in the first place. Goku feels that the world is now safe from any great threats, at least for now. However, they are completely unaware that they are being watched by a certain tubby little cat god, as well as his tall, female godlike attendant. It seems like our universe is going to expand soon for our heroes, and that's where we're going to leave things for right now. So what do you guys think? Do you think Nappa's age is catching up with him? Do you think he's able to get through Super safely? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!